Hello. So since we don't have a tutorial in game yet, and there's a lot of new people coming in trying to play Grommet Chod, I wanted to do a quick walkthrough of how the game works and how to play. So this is what the game looks like when it first starts. You can see we're in round 1 in the init phase. The init phase is where you can initialize your grommets, which are these SD cards down here. And the goal of the game is to deplete your opponent's health bar to 0. And we can do this by spending Chod to perform some of these actions. So let's start out by initializing some grommets. Since we're in the early rounds, we're not going to have a lot of Chod to work with, but each round that goes on, we're going to have more and more. So let's start out with some cheap grommets here. So I like to start out with bees. Bees are always a great round 1. So all we do is drag them to the socket, and you can see this 1 on the top left corner of their card is their cost. So we had 6, now we spent 2. And once we're ready to go, we hit this in turn button, and the init phase is going to play out. Our opponent played a grommet, and both of our bees come out. So now that we've gone through the init phase, you can see that we're now in the round 1 action phase, and this is where we have access to our grommet's move options. So we have these menus down here. This is everything that our bee can do, and each action has a cost associated with it. So let's choose sting, and let's sting the bigwig. So once we choose the move, we can then choose a target for it. And we can see what our bee is going to do over here in the queue. And you'll also notice whenever I do this, I can cancel this move and click it again. You see these multipliers by the HUDs. This is representing the type matchup. So Sting is not super effective. It does neutral damage against Bigwig, so that's why it's a ×1. And if we hit escape to enter this menu, we can go to the type matchup screen and see all the type matchups in the game. But let's just sting with both of our bees. And then we hit in turn, and the round plays out. Notice how when a grommet dies, the player takes damage too. We can also deal direct player damage by attacking empty sockets. So a lot of stuff just happened there. The first thing that we should talk about is speed. So we can see this speed stat is represented by a lightning bolt. This determines the order of moves in the action phase. So because our bee had a really high speed, it was able to move before the bigwig and take it out before Bigwig could attack. Another thing to note is that every grommet also has a passive ability, and you'll notice that the bee's is Martyr, so when a bee attacks, it immediately dies. Every grommet is going to have their own unique passive abilities, so make sure you read those whenever they come out so you know what's going to happen. So now we're in round 2, and the game is going to keep going on like this from init phase to action phase and back until one of us runs out of health. So now we can initialize grommets again. And I wanted to show another thing in the init phase. If you have multiple of the same grommet, you can actually play them on top of each other. And then we'll see what happens when we do that. So it initializes the first one, and then it puts another one on top of it, and it levels it up. So there's an XP mechanic here. To get to level 3, I would need 2 cards. To get to level 4, I would need 3 cards and so on. So the higher level you are, the more it takes to level up the next time. There's 2 more actions that most grommets have that we should talk about. The first one is shield. So let's go back into this menu screen here. So if we look at our bee, we see this shield icon. This is a shield stat, and then we have a shield stat of 40. So what this means is when we take the shield action, we'll put up a force field, and it can block up to 40 damage. Whenever that shield takes damage, it's going to reduce our shield stat. And if we ever took so much damage that we went below 0, our shield's going to break. And that will deal damage both to the grommet and to the player. The other action that we could take is ejecting. And the start of the next round, it will remove that grommet from the socket. And you'll get some of the Chod back that you spent on it. The next thing to be aware of is to look at these little icons next to the grommets, which are the plugins. So these are like held items that you can give to the grommet to give them some additional passive ability. Okay. One last thing to talk about, you'll see these little icons over here on your player HUD. These are called your mods, and they can be equipped at the deck level, and they essentially give you some additional effect that's going to kind of help you out in battle. So this one I have is Academic, which at the end of every round, all my active grommets gain experience. And then I have this one called Astronomer, where every 3 rounds we gain a meteorite executable. So let me go through the next round. So at the end of round 3, our Astronomer mod went off, and it gave us this executable, which these executables pop up in this bar here. You can have up to 3 of them at a time. And what it is a one-time use consumable item. So to use an executable, you just click on it, click on the icon, and then hit use. And if you need to select a target for it, it'll open up the target select menu and we can choose a target. And that covers all the basics of Grommet Chod. The game gets really complicated with all of the different moves and passives going on, but core mechanics are pretty simple. Feel free to send a message in general chat if something in here doesn't make sense. We're going to try and put together a more polished video soon, and of course add a tutorial to the game whenever we're getting ready to launch a demo. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you have fun playing.